All right, guys, welcome back to Behind the Bikini. It's been a little bit. There's been a lot going on, and we're back, and it's episode number 70 that we're on now. Um,
Merry
yeah, a
Christmas,
lot.
Happy Hanukkah, Happy almost New Year, all the things.
Like all the things have happened, plus, upheaval in our sport, obviously, which is what we're going to be talking about today. So, before we get into all that, though, like, comment, subscribe, hit the buttons wherever they may be, and yeah, share this with all your friends. So we are going to dive into the fit model division that has been announced, but we're going to cover it from a little bit of a different vantage point because the dust has settled at this point. I think everybody that came out initially was like, "Oh my god, what's going on?" Blah blah blah, all this kind of shit. And like now, it's like, okay, we're kind of settling into this whole idea, and we're going to talk about some things that maybe have not been brought up, some things we need to be paying attention to, and just how it's going to kind of evolve as we see it get on stage. But before we get into all of that, yeah, lots of things have happened. So how have your holidays been?
Holidays were good, really good, kind of low key this year, which is exactly what we wanted. We were home. We hosted at Jamie and Greg's house. Drew made a huge spread. He made filet and mac and cheese and mashed potatoes, and Nikki made like a charcuterie board and cookies. So it was just really cool. It was a really chill day. Drew actually like said at one point, he's like, "This is really weird." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "It's just so relaxed." Like,
Yeah.
so and last year at this time I was literally, and my dad actually reminded me, we were building our gym, and then I got really sick last year on Christmas, and I forgot about that. And I was at the gym laying floor so sick. And then literally 2 days later we got in the car and started driving here. So
Hmm.
kind of really nostalgic for us too, almost being a year of living here, and kind of picking up everything and moving and across country and not knowing what that was going to be for us. But really happy that we did it as well. So overall, it was great. A good holiday, taking some time, some downtime and whatnot. But yeah, how about you?
Well, and you got your acceptance into the Arnold too.
I did get my acceptance into the art. Have we not? Yeah, we didn't talk about that.
We
Maybe
didn't talk
last
about
time.
that. I know. It's a lot of
Yes.
shit has happened.
Yes, I applied for the Arnold. I didn't tell anybody, or many people, I should say. I just wanted to kind of keep it close to chest, because I mean, really, if you think about it, only 10 people get invited,
Right.
because the winner will always be invited back. And then the overall winner from last year who gets their pro card gets invited. So, really, there's only 10 spots, and I was kind of doing the math in my head. And really, I thought that it would be between me and a couple of other girls. And I really did not expect to get the acceptance.
Mhm.
So yeah, I was shocked. I
Yeah.
was at NPC Nationals when it was happening. I was volunteering at the Fit Body Fusion booth by myself with a Fit Body volunteer, and I went to go open up my phone because my athlete had texted me, and it opened up to Instagram, and I saw it, and but I'm on like the corner, like the corner of the in the whatever they were, the announcement, and I went this way with my eyes. So I was like, oh dang, oh man, I didn't get it. And then I was literally, the last thing that I saw was me.
Oh
So
gosh.
but I was by myself. This always happens when something happens to me. When I got my first pro card, and when I got my whatever. So yes, I got it. So I think I'm like 8.5 weeks out at this
Yeah.
point, a little over 60 days, which is crazy because I've never prepped this early in the season before. I'm usually in off
Yeah.
season till my birthday, April 10th, and then usually we start prepping. So this is going to be a completely different season for me. The Arnold is not the only show I'm going to be doing the first half of the season. My goal is to kind of do the Arnold and then a couple of other shows, 3 to 4 other shows, and then kind of shut it down and go into the Olympia. Probably do a show or two coming into the Olympia. But obviously everything's subject to change. But I'm really excited. I've never been to the Arnold. I was supposed to go in 2020, and then the world shut down, so the Arnold got canceled. So this will literally be a first for me
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. It also feels a lot different than the Olympia because it's the invite only.
Yeah.
So you have to make an application, you have to, make a letter, you have to almost kind of, talk about yourself and why you should be there and about your success. And, it's really cool. It's like a completely different feeling, if you will, than, just kind of grinding and winning the show and being the best that day. It's almost, a badge of honor, if you will.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. It's going to be fun no matter what, zero expectations.
Well, the Arnold for me has always been my favorite show. Um, I just like the way they run it. It's the experience aspect of it. It is the prestige of it as well. Plus, for me, it was the first big bodybuilding show that I ever went to. Like, I went to the Arnold before I ever went to the Olympia. Because when I got started in bodybuilding, I was actually living in Tennessee, so it was easier for me to go to Ohio than it was for me to go to Vegas. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, I've been going to the Arnold since, gosh, 2010, I think was the first year I ever went. So and you've never been, right?
Never. Nope.
It's literally my favorite show. It's my
Yeah.
favorite show.
Yeah.
It's just so much fun. It's just so much fun. And like there's different ways to experience it. Like when I first went, like we were, poor, and so I was like sharing a room off site with like eight other people, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That kind of deal. Now it's like, okay, I gotta make sure I get an on site room because everything's connected and all that kind of stuff. So actually one of the best years was the year when it came back in 2020 in September, because that particular year they didn't have an expo. All they had was the bodybuilding. They had like, I don't know, 10 booths kind of thing, but like the same amount of sponsors I have at CCTS, that kind of thing. So it wasn't like a big expo or anything like that. But it was really cool because it was just everybody that was like really involved in the bodybuilding industry was there, and it was just a lot of fun. So that was actually one of the most fun shows I've ever been to, ever. I mean, I don't think I've ever laughed that hard in my life. Just like the after party stuff, like just sitting around talking to people and stuff. But it's a really
That's a
cool
different
experience.
perspective because usually when I hear people talk about that year when it came back, people were so upset that the expo was not as
Yeah,
big as it usually
yeah.
is. I've never heard somebody say that they actually enjoyed it, which is funny because when I was talking to Jamie about like the Arnold and like what to expect, she was like, it's the expo itself, it feels three times bigger than the one at the Olympia. So it's
Oh yeah,
extremely overwhelming when you're walking
100%.
in and trying to get to the show and things like that. So
Yes.
that makes sense, from the bodybuilding perspective, why we don't care as much about the expo. We just kind of want to get there and like truly celebrate bodybuilding.
Yeah.
That's so interesting that you said that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and again, going back to being a fan of bodybuilding, like I don't really care about the booths. Just being honest, I don't. Like,
Yeah.
I'll walk around and I'll look at stuff and like make connections and stuff like that. But I'm there for the show, and again, going back to, because there's only 12 to 13, maybe 15 competitors in each class, like each division goes by quickly. So you don't sit there through 60 bikini girls. I'm sorry.
No.
It just is what it is. When bikini takes 2 hours, it's like, okay, are we done?
Yeah.
Like,
Us
versus,
too, backstage, trust
yeah,
us. Yeah.
yeah, versus, okay, we got the best of the best and then we're done. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like, it makes it a much more enjoyable experience overall. So I think you're gonna really like it. I mean, it just is. It's a lot more fun. So um take in everything, take it all in, enjoy it. Plus, like Columbus is built around Arnold. I mean, they've got the Arnold statue there. There's a bunch of gyms right within walking distance. I always walk down to the Powerhouse. I think it's Powerhouse, right? Yeah, I think Powerhouse, and work out there. I always choose an upper body day when I go there because it's just impossible to get to equipment and machines because it's full of bodybuilders. But at the same time, it's still fun because you get to see like the top names in the industry all working out together. You know what I mean?
Training
So
together. Yeah. I would
yeah,
even
yeah,
say too, like I feel like more people recognize Arnold because of Arnold Schwarzenegger. So like when I've been
yeah,
telling people like, oh, I'm prepping for the Arnold, they're like Arnold Schwarzenegger show versus like when I
yes.
say the Olympia, sometimes people are like, oh, well, what does that mean? Like, can you explain that a little bit? So it's really interesting to see that dynamic of someone that is not really in the bodybuilding space, but they recognize the Arnold show more just because of knowing who doesn't know who Arnold Schwarzenegger is at this point.
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, and every once in a while, like, because he comes to all the shows, so you get to like have that like, oh, there's Arnold kind of
Yeah.
experience, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's fun. Again, it's my favorite show throughout the year. I just think that they run it really well too. Like the production is actually run very, very well. Just
The
overall,
bridge.
it's just the bridge. Yeah, the bridge.
Yeah, well, so
Yep.
I didn't register, that's where that takes place. And then one of the girls, posted their announcement. It was on the glass bridge, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to the glass bridge.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So this last year, or the year before, I can't remember which year it was. They added a new tower to the host hotel. So I think it was not this year, but the year before. Um, So that, yeah, it was because I ended up in that tower, and it's on the other side of the bridge. And I was like,
Oh,
where the hell am I going? Like, this is not normal. Like, because I knew I got the host hotel, but I kept following the signs. I'm like, this is not the host hotel. Like, no, this is the new
the
tower
newer
of the
host
host hotel.
hotel.
And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, okay. So either one's fine. It's just like the nostalgia of the old one. You know what I mean? I was in
Totally.
the old tower this past year. So, um, but yeah, so it's just fun. And like, again, it's like you get to see everybody. It's a little less chaotic than the Olympia, because again, everybody's right there, so you're not going to different places, you're not going to different venues for the state for the finals versus prejudging and all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So it's just a little bit more of a, like I said, enjoyable experience, you know.
Yeah, more
So for me, it's my
intimate,
favorite show of the
and
year.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
excited for sure.
yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. So
Something else
that's
I'm doing too
exciting.
is I just opened up or hired a content creator. So I will be doing a YouTube series. So the first one will
Okay,
be coming out next Friday. So we've been just
okay,
collecting a bunch of footage and putting it all together. So we'll have one video a week all the way up into the Arnold. And then we'll do a video every day starting on Wednesday before the show.
okay, cool.
Just something super cool. You know, at the end of the
Yeah,
day, to me, like social media, I use it as a diary, you know, for myself, and like to be able to go back and like enjoy the footage that I've created and the memories that I've created. You know, I don't do this for followers, or of course I appreciate all my followers, but I don't do it for that reason. I, you know, do it to share my journey. And something that my best friend Nikki's helping me with is, you know, she was a fan of mine before we were friends. And she was like, I
okay.
think what people would really like to hear from you is more of like your vulnerable side, and, you know, more of the mindset and like the things that goes, you know, into your day to day versus just like the training videos. And like everybody can do that. So it's going to have a really personal touch to it. And yeah, I'm super excited about it. So you guys can watch that on my YouTube once it drops. And I think the first one's going to be next Friday.
Okay, cool. You know, that's something too. Like, I feel like everybody has a YouTube now. You know what I mean? But it's quality versus quantity, like you just said. Like, you I feel like with our content, just in general, with like bikini competitors and stuff like that, we're never gonna have huge, enormous followings on our YouTubes unless we're like a big time name like a Nick Walker or Laura Lee or something like that. You know what I mean? um but we have content that touches people, you know what I mean, that can impact somebody's life, you know, and that's the difference. It's quality versus quantity. And the people that you do have are the ones that stick by you through everything, you know what I mean, versus just like the casual fan that just is, liking every picture, you know what I mean. So it's fun though. It's interesting to see, like you said, like how it can impact people and just showing that other side of you, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm almost at 20K followers. I'd rather have 20K than 200K, because my 20K, just like you said, it's it's quality followers. It's people that, you know, connect and, you know, want to hear what I have to say or purchase something through a link of mine and support me, like versus having 200K where, you know, probably more than half of them are bot or bots. You know what I mean? So
Or were you
it's
married to it as well? Like I'm friends with influencers and they are literally on their social media 24/7. And I'm
Oh my
like,
God. That's another thing is like we've been doing this for a week now, and everything's like film it, film it, film it. And I live my life so not like that. I'm just like, let's do it, you know, whatever.
yeah,
And but when I post like my dogs playing in the yard, how many messages I get like, oh my gosh, I love seeing you and your personal life, and like I love seeing your dogs. I'm like, well, I guess it, you know, matters to take the tripod down and, you know,
yep,
film a few minutes
yeah.
of this. But it's cool to get that feedback, to see that that is something people want to see, and if I can, I will. But it's definitely hard. It's not normal for me.
It is. It's hard because like I've been going the opposite direction. I've been filming less, and I've been posting less. And honestly, it's been very like I'm just going,
Yeah,
woosah.
it's freeing.
I'm like, damn, I don't need to do this. Like, and again, it's not something that I did consciously. It's just something that's been evolving through how I've been, rebranding stuff and things like that. And I'm just like, this is just not. It's just, it's nice.
Well, you just
Like,
hit
I'm
the
not
nail on the head. It's not something you need to do. And I think
right,
when you
right, right,
have
right.
to do something or feel like you need to do something, then
Yeah,
it puts like that, you know, connotation on it versus like, I want to do this or I want to film this and share it with people. It just kind of puts it different perspective and light on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's like, and it's trying to find that balance. You know what I mean? Because like you want to make sure that, we both have sponsors. We want to make sure that our sponsors are happy, but at the same time, it's like, we got to be happy too.
Of course. Well, which is why I know you are too, like very particular with who I work with. And like I say
Yep.
up front, like I am not the person that's going to be posting 5 days a week, blah, blah, blah. But I will tell you that if I tell someone that I believe in something and I trust something, they're probably going to purchase it, because I don't
Yep.
just stick with it, I'm very loyal to the brands that I work
Yes.
with.
Yep, absolutely. Same thing. Like Liquid Sunrays has sponsored me my entire competitive career from like day one.
Yeah.
So, those are the kind of people that I stick with,
Yeah.
and just I don't and if there's ever like an issue or something like that too with sponsors, because I've had this with a current sponsor now. Like I sit down and we hammer it out and we figure it out versus just like, okay, peace, I'm gonna go to somebody better. You know what I mean? Like I have a sponsor that's like that now. Like they actually switched roles. They had somebody leave and somebody else come in. And when that second person came in, I was like, okay, let's start with a fresh slate and let's like redo all this. And it's been 1,000 times better ever since we did that. You know what I mean? And it was just like I still believe in the product. I still believe in what you guys do, but we need to work on this. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So,
That's
and
something else I look forward to. And that probably comes from you, small business too. And I'm the same.
yeah,
Like I'm a small business person. Like I don't care about a larger company. I'd rather work with a smaller company that I
yeah,
know I could pick up the phone and call someone if there's an issue. You know what I mean? Like if I don't like something, if my
mm,
athlete didn't get something that they were supposed, whatever. Like I just want to be able to have that personal relationship with someone. That means more to me than any feedback or any kind of monetary value I could get out of a company.
yep,
As long as they take care of me and my athletes, that's all I care about.
yep. Agreed, agreed. We'll figure it out. Like I said, if there's going to be issues, especially when you're working with small businesses, it's never going to be seamless because we don't have a huge staff.
Nope.
It's just us. You know what I mean? So there's going to be issues. There's going to be problems, but as long as we can work together and figure it out, that's what's important.
Totally. Totally.
So. So yeah,
Are you back in Vegas?
I'm in Vegas right now. I'll be here till the second.
Okay.
Then we'll be going back to DC and we'll be there through CCTS. Believe it or not, that's coming up in like 2 weeks.
I cannot believe it. I cannot
Like
believe it. It's already here.
I don't even know where the time has gone. Like I've been sitting here today, I've been sitting here putting together posing suits and stuff for for the event. Because one of the things that we do is we do these epic swag bags, as you know, and like we give out posing suits. I have a whole new selection of posing suits for this year. So CCTS is gonna be the first place where we release them. And so I've been working on those this afternoon. And I'm just sitting here, I'm like putting on labels, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, it's gonna be here in 2 weeks. It's freaking crazy. It's crazy. Like it's gone by so fast. And we actually have one less week this year because we didn't do it on Martin Luther King weekend because of the inauguration. So we've done this in the past when we've had presidential inaugurations because it's in DC. We don't want to do CCTS in the same weekend because it's just a shit show.
It's
Like
miserable.
yeah, it's the prices, the flights, the chaos.
Traffic.
It's
Yeah.
just not, yeah, it's just not doable. So, we had the option of doing it either the weekend after or the weekend before. We're like, let's just do it the weekend before because now what we have going on too is we have the women's workshop and then everything just starts kind of picking up as soon as we get to the end of January. So, it's like our best bet is to do it the weekend before and just get it knocked out. So, like I said, it's been a challenge. We have a new venue this year, and it's been a challenge, to say the least. This is one of the reasons why this is the reason why this is our last year doing CCTS on this big scale like this, because working with venues has become absolutely insane. It's been so hard. We've talked about this before, but it's just that I just it's just crazy. It's just really, really difficult. So without going into too many details, it's every day there's something else that we're trying to figure out. And it's just crazy. So, but the good thing is like everything's like falling in line now. We're like, okay, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna get there. It's just keep checking the boxes every day. Just keep checking the boxes every day. So we're happy about that. We're happy it's gonna go off. Hopefully, cross our fingers seamlessly for you guys anyway. So we'll be scrambling behind the scenes because we always are. But hopefully, you guys up front won't notice any of those things. But I'm excited. We're doing a few things differently this year. Like we're doing an app for all of the speakers and like the presentations. It's going to be an app on your phone, so every attendee is going to have access to that the whole time they're there. So it's gonna make it a lot easier with like the presentations. You know how we used to put them up on the screens. You couldn't really see the PowerPoints and stuff like that. You're gonna have it in the app, so you're able to see all that. So just we're doing a lot of different things this year. And I think it's gonna be I think it's
I
gonna be a
need
lot
to put
smoother.
my presentation together.
I know. I started mine. Trust, I'm the same boat you are. I started mine.
Well, you know, we're getting ready for Coach's Hell Week come
Yeah.
January 1st.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I should probably start working on that tomorrow.
I know. Like literally that's my goal. Today's Saturday. My goal is to put my presentation together by Monday. That's my goal.
Yeah. I feel like I need to write a note while we're talking about this.
Oh God.
Just keep on going. I'm just gonna write it down.
Yeah, so
Man.
that's what we're doing now. Plus, you know, I've got the hoodies. We're doing hoodies this year, so got the hoodies coming in. You know, all that kind of stuff. You know, we had to things that people don't realize that we have to things that we have to do. So we have to nail down like banquet menu items and stuff like that, and pricing and all those kinds of things. So it's just like little detail stuff. You know, coffee service. The freaking coffee service is the most expensive thing on the whole friggin' weekend. It's ridiculous. So
Wow.
yeah. It's fun times. Like it's like beans and water, you guys. Like, come on.
Hey, but
You know,
love
again,
their caffeine, me
I know.
included.
I know. So, but again, those are things that we think about because we've been doing this for 10 years, you know. So we understand that people need coffee in order to be able to function. So
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're doing all that. So as far as I am, you know, now 3 weeks post show. I went up. So I was still my stage weight the last two check-ins, and then this past check-in I went up 2.5 pounds because it was the day after Christmas, and I'm back down a pound from there already. So you know, probably by next week I'll probably be around the same thing. I'm filling out a little bit. I'm a little softer, a little rounder, a little fuller, which are all good things. And you know, we're planning on switching to Fit Model. So this is with the caveat of pros can't do fit model division until 2026. So regardless, I had already made the decision that I wasn't going to compete until 2026 because I need to grow glutes, period. And then for me too, in the masters divisions, we can't qualify for the Masters Olympia until the following year. There's no point me getting on stage this year. I mean, I might possibly qualify, but I'm not going to with my current size. I need time off to grow size. So there's just no point to me competing this year. So when they made this announcement of Fit Model, I was like, oh my God, this is perfect, you know? So I am still going to be training the same way as far as I've got 3 lower body days a week and 0 upper body. None at all. I'm like, fantastic. Because I gotta bring my upper body down. I've got to atrophy my abs a little bit. But I still need to bring up my glutes and my legs. So I'm still gonna be training hard. But in the interim, I'm gonna be doing Pilates and yoga the rest of the time. So I actually asked Jamie, I was like, can I put in like a dance class or something in there? I was like, because I'm gonna get bored. She's like, no. I was like, great.
Yeah. Well, Adair's, she talked about this on our last, she's going through it. You know, they just gave her some more training days, and she basically what she's doing is she's just breaking up her volume into 5 days versus a 2 day week split because her mental health is getting affected, you know? So, I have not been in that boat. I cannot imagine being in that boat. Don't envy you for that.
Yeah.
What I can tell you is that I know Pilates is extremely difficult. I'm getting ready to take my first class in January when I go visit my best friend back in Florida. And I'm like, it's not gonna be good. You know, like that internal core strength I do not have. And like as a bodybuilder, we look strong, but we are not strong. So
people ask me that stuff all the time.
You.
Yeah, they're asking like, what do you bench? I'm like, I don't know.
What's your 1 rep max? Don't know. I haven't done that forever.
No clue.
So, but that might be a good challenge for you, you know, to make
well, and that's the thing too. Like after CCTS, I'm planning on doing some like, you know, like Pilates reformer classes or something. There's the cool thing about where I live here in Vegas is everything is walking distance, and there's a bunch of little like studios and stuff that are within a mile of walking, so I can go pretty much anywhere and get all this stuff done. So I've just been doing it on my own. There's a good gym here in the apartment complex we're in. So I've been just doing, YouTube and stuff like that at this point. But once I get through CCTS, I'm going to do more classes and things like that where I can fit them into my schedule a little bit better.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm sure it will be a challenge once I start doing that. But like right now, the one thing I will say, this is what I will say, is that I'm only training lower body and I'm training it every other day. So um what I've been finding is when I actually go in to train lower body, I'm training with more intensity, because I have a day off every other day, basically.
Yeah, totally.
So I have the time to recover. I have the time for myself to be like, okay, I'm ready to go train again. Versus okay, I got to go do this again. Sometimes you have that feeling of I just got to get it in.
Yeah, if I have a heavy
Now,
shoulder day before my glute A day is still affected because I still have to
yeah,
grip and hold dumbbells in my hands. And
absolutely.
yeah,
Yep. So, there's that. With that though, because I've been training hard on my lower body, I do need to stretch more because I'm like I can feel things like my knees and my legs, my calves and stuff like that. Plus being in Vegas, it's dry here. So, just the environment change and stuff like that too. So all of that has been affecting me as well. My sleep, oh my God, my sleep is terrible. But it's so bad. When I was back in Virginia for Christmas, I was sleeping in till like 11 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, what am I doing? Oh, this is not me. I was like,
but
oh my
that's like
God.
8 a.m. your time now.
Right. I'm like, oh my God, this is so weird. So yeah, I've been finding myself taking naps more often, things like that. So, I'm just dealing with it right now. I really feel like once I get through CCTS, I'm going to be able to get a better schedule, like an all around better schedule, because right now stuff's just all over the place. And like when I wake up in the morning, when I'm here on the West Coast, I've already got 1,000 messages in my freaking inbox because it's 3 hours earlier over on the East. I'm like, so I
Told
automatically, like, I wake
you.
up, I know, I'm automatically overwhelmed. I'm
I
just
told
like, oh,
you when I moved here, that was the biggest adjustment. Is like you
oh,
wake
it's
up and you're
so
just
bad.
inundated and you just like that
Immediately.
stress. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, and I even told Dan this. I was like, don't text me or anything like that until we're both up and like doing stuff, because when I wake up and I've even got text messages from you, I'm like, no, this is not working. This is not good. So it's like, yeah, it's been a challenge. And plus just getting through the holidays and stuff like that. So you know, I've stuck to my reverse diet 100% other than Christmas Day. I started tracking everything on Christmas Day that morning, and then I just said, you know what, fuck it, I just want to eat. I want to eat what I want to eat. I didn't go way overboard. I just didn't weigh stuff.
If you were
Uh, you
2 pounds
know,
up the day after Christmas, it's nothing.
that's exactly. I was like, I had two big meals really. I had my big breakfast, then I had a big dinner, and that was it. And I had some drinks in between there. I didn't even really have desserts. I had chocolate, like I had pieces of chocolate, dark chocolate and chocolate caramels. That was my dessert. So I didn't even have like real dessert, like pie or anything like that. So no, like I was just like, and again, I checked in the following day, and I'm like, oh, this is not bad, at all. So I've been really happy about that. I mean, I'm on 2,300 calories. I'm on 15 minutes of cardio 3 times a week. It's like nothing.
Well,
So,
that's the special thing
um,
about the show you just did. You were basically reversed into it.
yes.
So you're kind
Yeah.
of out of that really sensitive spot. And
Yep.
now it's just about getting your calories higher just to make sure you're in, a complete
Yep.
surplus. But I mean, you're in such a good spot that you're,
Yep.
and especially with competing so close to the holiday, again, you're not in that super, super, super sensitive spot where you can really blow it. I mean, at this point, that was just probably a free meal for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It
Yeah.
was. And that's the thing too. Like I really haven't had the hunger signals. Like last year, I remember my reverse diet was terrible because I was just
I
hungry all the
remember.
time.
Yeah, I
Oh my God, I
remember.
was hungry all the time.
Yeah.
I have this last week I got some hunger signals, but that was more so because I wasn't getting good sleep. I know it was affected because of my sleep. And I tell this to clients a lot too. I'm like, if your sleep is not good, you're gonna have increased hunger. So I knew that's where it was coming from. But still it's not been bad because my carbs are high, my fats are high, all of that. So like I can throw stuff in and I'm good, I'm satiated and I'm fine. So I really really haven't had a hard time with that at all. I've been walking everywhere, so it's not like I'm not sedentary, you know what I mean? So I've always got something to do. I've got something to do all the time. So I don't have time to just sit and think about things. So
Totally.
that's helpful too. I think idle time is a devil's playground, you know what I mean? So I think if you don't have things to do, that can be very, very difficult when you're going through reverse. Like keep yourself busy.
Yeah.
you know, and you don't have
Especially with
time to
how
sit and think about
cerebral
food.
you are right now with, middle of reverse, all the holiday stress that we all experience, also planning a huge event that's coming up in
Yes.
2, 3 weeks. Like there's just so much
Yep.
going on that
Yep.
like you said, it's just so much easier to stay busy, walk everywhere. That's why I love living
Yep.
where we do in Scottsdale. I don't have to drive anywhere if I don't want to.
Yes.
And it really does make a difference too. The higher your NEAT, your non-exercise activity
Right.
thermogenesis, are really truly the athletes that stay leaner in their off season because
Right.
they're just walking. They
Yep.
don't even need as high of cardio just because they're doing their cardio during their daily activities. So it
That's
really
right.
does make a difference if you could find more places to walk to, park farther in the grocery store. I'm that girl that if I need steps, I'm parking in the very last spot. It's just those little things. They really do add up
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
No, they do. And that was like one of the first days that I was here. I was like, I'm gonna walk to the grocery store because the grocery stores are like a mile and a half away, right? So I was like, let's walk. So I walked. I'll never do that again because it was freaking through the ghetto, and I was like, oh my god, this is not good. Like when I say ghetto, like shot out windows and cars and stuff like that, like literally the ghetto. And I'm just like,
Check your
okay.
surroundings.
It's like, all right, we're gonna Instacart. We're gonna Instacart. Like we're not doing that.
Yeah,
So yeah, that was not good, but I still did it. I still made it. I made it. Made it safe and sound. But yeah, so check your surroundings.
totally.
So but yeah, like, and again, going back to just figuring out life in here, going back and forth and stuff like that too has been another challenge as well. So just keeping on top of all that. And then this was the other thing that I said to Jamie. This can kind of go into our fit model discussion before they announced fit model, right? I said to her in my initial, okay, this is my plan going into off season is I don't want to gain a lot of weight going into this off season. I said because I'm going to be in off season for 2 years, so like I don't want to blow up. I want to stay relatively, in condition. At most I want to go up 10 pounds, so I still can have abs, I can still have definition, I can still have all the things that make me feel like I look good, my clothes still fit, all those kinds of things. I was on stage at 142. I said I want my top to be like 152, 153, right? So I'm sitting at 144 this morning. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, so when we made that decision, then a couple of days later is when they came out with the fit model discussion and division and all of that. And I could not be happier about this. Not just from a competitor standpoint, but from a coaching standpoint. I don't know about you, but I had a lot of people reach out to me when they announced that, like, oh, Shawn, you've talked about this all the time on Behind the Bikini with this is what you guys wanted to see, less conditioned version of bikini and blah blah blah. And I said, yeah, this is great. This is exactly what the sport needs. Because we've talked about this before. Like, in order to be a successful bikini athlete at this point, you do have to have a few years under your belt in the gym. And for a lot of people, it's like you need to have that experience of actually getting on stage and just knowing if you want to commit to this before you commit a couple of years off stage. So I really feel like the fit model division is going to give people that opportunity. I did a live on this and talked about my thoughts on this. So before we dive into more things, we're going to talk about the standard for the division, some things that nobody is talking about. I've got one thing specifically that nobody has talked about at all that we're going to bring up today. What are your thoughts on this division?
I have a lot of mixed feelings, if I'm being honest. I think mostly things are good.
Mhm.
Going off of what you just said, I think what people have to realize, because obviously there's a lot of talk about this right now, and the dust, like you said, is kind of settled. It's been over a week since it's been announced, but I want everyone to realize that we have to add this division because of one main thing, and it's that competitors have no longer decided that they want to do the bikini criteria because they don't want to put in the time and effort that they need to in order to have the muscle to do bikini. So
Mhm.
people are going to be upset about a new division being added that has less muscle and things like that. Well, then we have to look at ourselves as athletes and be willing to put in the time to grow the muscle for the bikini criteria.
Yep.
And not a lot of people are in that boat.
That's right.
I get on consult calls all the time, encouraging women to take more time to body build before they step on stage. And I am very open and honest with them. You can go get on a call with another coach in 5 minutes and they will take you to your show that you want to go to in 3 months. It's just not going to be me. All of that to say, I love the new division. I think it's going to be great. I think it's a great opportunity, number one, for just like you said, Shawn, for people to get on stage to see if they love this sport. And then maybe they get the mindset that they want to take time to grow into bikini. Or they just love the look of fit model and they stay in fit model. Either way, I respect it. As a business owner too, I know a lot of people do not think about the business side of this sport. This is a business at the end of the day. So what kind of irks me is people calling it a money grab. Yeah, it is a money grab because we have to, as a small business owner or a business owner, make money. And for all of us that are already in the sport and love the sport, as a consumer, it's our responsibility to make sure that we give back to the sport so that it can continue to run shows. Promoters can continue to put on shows. The IFBB can continue to run sanctions and give money back to those promoters so that they can put on shows. Where do we think this money comes from? So that kind of really irks my gear. Like, you want to twist it and say it's a money grab? Sure, you could twist it and say it's a money grab. But at the end of the day, we have to realize that the IFBB and NPC is a business that gives us a platform to be able to showcase our hobby. Something that I told my Team J athletes, we had a call a few weeks ago, is I want them to do a better job at stepping up and helping these promoters. If you know that there's a small show in your area, go watch prejudging and pay for a ticket. Watch a live stream and watch it. Not only does that help the promoter, but that helps you. That helps you study and see what's going to be on stage. So all in all, I think this is going to be fantastic. Now, as a coach myself, I'm still trying to decide if I want to coach this division. And that's just me being honest. As a coach, I have to love what I am doing and what I am pouring into. I was talking with a top head judge of the Olympia about this new division and kind of what I think they're going to be looking for. And the photo that they showed me was of an amateur, and the amateur was just basically had no muscle, not a lot of muscle, and probably looked about 6 to 8 weeks out of the typical bikini. And I'm just not sure yet if that's something I'm going to love to coach. And that's just me being honest and vulnerable. Now, here's the big caveat. We haven't seen any of this on stage yet, nor have we not seen this on stage yet. But I can guarantee you that from the first show that Fit Model is going to have till the end of 2025, that those bodies are going to look a lot different as people continue to evolve in the division and as the promoters and as the judges continue to show us what they're going to be picking. So as of right now, I don't know. I have to see it on stage. Yes, I had a lot of my athletes reach out to me. I will say about 85% of them that thought that they might be good for this division are not. Why? Because they have taken a year off to grow muscle, and now they have outgrown that category, which to me is the fun part. I love the off seasons with athletes. That's where I thrive, is in my off seasons with my athletes. So it's just going to be interesting. I do have an IFBB Pro, a Bikini IFBB Pro Masters on my roster right now. And she is one that will be moving to Fit Model. Structurally, she's a little bit more narrow. She also doesn't, I want to say, love training. She likes to train, but she doesn't want to. This is actually something she's been struggling with for months, and we've been going back and forth with. She doesn't really have the innate drive right now to put in the intensity to grow her glutes that she needs to for bikini. So Fit Model is going to be perfect for her. This allows her the opportunity to continue training the way that she's doing and loving what she's doing. And then when Fit Model comes out in 2026, she's probably going to be perfect for it. That's a different case scenario for me. That's a little bit more of like a project, right? As a coach, as a human, I love to use my brain, so I just got to see the way the division continues to evolve. Also, the only other negative thing I can think of is how long the shows are already. And now this is just going to be another division that adds to the shows. Again, I'm showing both sides of my coin. I'm not just going to give you all, the roses and things like that. I'm going to give you some of the negatives that I have thought of. That's one of them. And also too, with the natural divisions that they're now pushing and coming out with, I really do think that Fit Model would have kind of crossed over and carried those boundaries, because fit model should be natural.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
again, we'll just have to continue to see that the way these all things go. But I think overall, this is such a great stepping stone in the right direction to the financial and the amount of muscle. And those are the two biggest things that people are complaining about right now, that they don't want to do bodybuilding. So I really do think the new division kind of closes that gap for anybody that's curious about it.
Yep. And I'll also pivot on this too, because I'm super excited to coach this division. And the reason why I say this too is you came into the sport when bikini was what it is today. You know what I mean? I came into the sport when bikini was what fit model was today.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
So
I had not been involved when I.
right. So I've seen the division evolve. I've seen the division change. The one thing that excites me about it this time around is we are just so much more knowledgeable about dieting and training than we ever were, 10, 15 years ago. 10, 15 years ago, bikini back then was starve yourself and get on stage, do a ton of cardio and get on stage. That's what it was. Now we don't have to do it like that. You know what I mean? So I'm actually really excited to be able to produce these fit model physiques while focusing on the health and longevity of the client, right? So I already do that with my lifestyle clients, right? This is like taking my lifestyle clients and just giving them an opportunity to push themselves a little bit harder, which I'm super excited for. I have so many lifestyle clients who are like, I want to compete now. I want to compete now. I want to compete now. And this is perfect, because it gives them a goal so that they are still creating their healthy lifestyle, but they're pushing themselves just a little bit harder. So that gives them a little bit of a competitive outlet, which I think is fantastic, right?
100%.
Now, yeah, now 99% of them are never going to go past that point. They're not going to go past that point, but you're going to find that 1% who's like, I think I want to keep going. I think I want to go to bikini next. I think I want to go to figure next. I think I want to go to whatever. They're going to keep pushing. That's that 1% that's going to keep going up the ranks, right? But we need that other 99% in order to keep bodybuilding alive. And in order to continue to introduce it to new audiences and new eyeballs, we need that other 99%. That we can't fund shows on 50 competitors in a show. We can't do it. Promoters are losing their ass when it comes to money. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. It's the hard facts. And people that want to shit on the lower divisions, open bodybuilders, y'all wouldn't have shows if it wasn't for the revenue that men's physique and bikini brings into shows. I'm sorry. Yes, I understand you guys bring in the most ticket sales and fans and blah, 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 but that doesn't help you at the local level. It doesn't help you at the local level. Now, the other caveat to this too is I do believe that this is going to weed out some of our higher divisions in the female department, meaning we already don't have a lot of female bodybuilding. We already don't have a lot of women's physique. Figure is dwindling faster and faster and faster. Fitness is dwindling faster and faster and faster. All of those divisions, you're lucky to have one or two competitors per show at the FBC level. So when it comes to the length of shows, I actually don't think that's going to be an issue. I do think that a lot of these divisions are going to kind of just fall off. If you look at
Oh,
the
that's so
trend,
sad.
I know, but you look at the trends. Look at the Arnold. The Arnold's a perfect example. 3 years ago, they pulled out figure and women's physique. There's a reason for that. No revenue, right? So, promoters don't pull divisions because they want to pull divisions. They pull divisions because they're not making money on those divisions.
Right.
That's just the cold hard facts, And again, we need that 99% of people to create the 1% that's going to continue to build their way up, right? I'm an anomaly. I've been in this sport for 15 years, Jamie is an anomaly. We don't stick around usually. It's like the average lifespan of a competitor is 3 years. That's the average lifespan of a competitor. So you think about that, we have to constantly be bringing new eyes into this sport. Constantly. Have to, or else it's going to die, So while you may not, like as a higher up in this particular division or whatever, you may not look at fit model as being, worthy. Those fit model girls are the ones that are going to eventually climb up the ranks, right? They got to start somewhere. and we talk about this with other sports, you know, when you're talking about like flag football and stuff like that, there's tons of flag football leagues out there. They have their own tournaments, you know, they have their own prizes, they have their own, all that kind of stuff. They're not ever going to go to the NFL. They're not going to go to the NFL, but they participate in the sport in their own way. That creates a fan base. All of those flag football people that play probably have an NFL team that they love to watch, you know, so it feeds into the sport. Same thing here. It feeds into the sport. So having this like elitist mindset is very, very dangerous because if you don't have new people coming in, you don't have a sport.
Right.
Bottom line, you don't have a sport, you know? So we have to take it and understand that too. And then also, you know, taking it from my own personal perspective, you know, we've talked about this several times. I'm just not competitive on the pro stage. You know, it's really hard when you're a tall girl to stand up next to girls that are half your size. You know, like I said, in California, Jessica was 40 pounds lighter than me on stage, right? That's a big deal. Like it's apples and oranges, right? So for those of us that are a little bit longer and leaner, on that lankier side, this gives us an opportunity to still be competitive too. And we can still train. Like I just said, I'm still going to be training like I have before, except I'm going to take out the upper body, which in reality for bikini, my upper body's too big anyway. So I was going to have to do that anyway. I was at the point where I had one upper body day just to kind of keep the blood flow there.
Yeah.
So, you know, so at this point it's like, okay, we need to atrophy a little bit. So we're just going to take it out completely. But again, the training is still there. The training is still there. I'm not changing any of that. The diet's still there. I'm still eating like a freaking horse. You know what I mean? So that doesn't change. The difference is that the bodies are going to be easier to be comparable, right? And again, we haven't seen it on the pro stage yet. But I also think there's some things like we were talking about with using Ashley Cotwasser as the standard of the division. I think there's a few things that's missing with that. I think they did that on purpose because that 2015 Olympia, if you look at the top 10 girls, they all have pieces of the fit model criteria that I think they're looking for. There is one big thing that literally nobody has discussed when it comes to the fit model division, and that is stage presence. Stage presence in this particular division is going to be huge. It is going to be a make or break. You better be able to get on that stage and work the damn stage. If you can't do that, you are not going to do well in this division. Period.
I agree. There's a reason why they put model in the name of the division.
Absolutely. This is a pageant with muscle.
Correct.
Period.
Yep.
Period. Go back and look at the 2015 Olympia. Go look at the girls that were in that top 10. Go look at the girls that were in the top 15. They were all stunning women that knew how to work the damn stage. They absolutely did. Right. So, like, one of the people, and I mentioned this in a comment, I think it was on Reddit, I mentioned this. One of the people that I think was overlooked as far as the standard is concerned for this particular division is Janet. Now, the one thing I will say about Janet is that she always tended to come in a little bit too lean. Like she always had really defined abs. She always had hamstring tie-ins. So I think that's why they yes, I think that's why they kind of veered away from making her the standard. But when we're talking about model, she's it.
Mm-hmm.
Bang on, she's it. You know, and that also goes back to, you know, people were talking about the criteria and stuff like that. When she came back and competed this last year, her placing significantly dropped. And that's because she didn't change her physique. Her physique has been the same for the last, 10 years. So she has not put on size. She has not filled out. She has not done any of those things. She looks the same. So you know that the criteria for bikini has actually evolved to be bigger and more muscular because she's not getting rewarded and she was a Miss Olympia, So going back to the criteria has changed for bikini.
Yeah, and it will continue to change. I know a lot of people are like, well, does this now mean that bikini is going to stay where it is? Or are they going to continue to let it grow? What people don't realize is that as the athlete, we're the ones that are making it continue to evolve and grow because we're training and because we keep getting bigger.
And better.
So Right. Or because they keep awarding it. Right.
Yep.
So if we all in the, top 15, 16 of the Olympia continue to train hard and heavy for the next 3 to 5 years, of course, we're going to grow by 10 to 15% as a division
Right.
every single year
That's
until
right.
they stop awarding it and tell us not to continue to grow. But
That's
if
right.
all of our feedbacks are keep growing your glutes, keep growing your shoulders, I need more V taper, blah, 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 well, then of course the division is going to get evolved by 10 to
That's right.
15% every year, hand over fist.
Yep.
So is it going to continue to get bigger? It's absolutely going to get bigger.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
100%. There's going to obviously be at a point where for each individual body, they are going to be told to stop. But then the other people comparative to them are going to have to continue to evolve too.
Right.
So yes, it is going to continue to get bigger and bigger, especially at the pro level.
Yep. I mean, look at it happens to every single division, every single one. Female bodybuilding today. Guys, go look up Rachel McClish. Rachel McClish is fit model. Okay. She was Miss Olympia female bodybuilding back in her day. She would be fit model today. Every single division evolves. I use the example of C-Bomb. Over the course of his Olympias that he's won, he has looked dramatically better now than he did the first time. He's gotten bigger, he's gotten harder, he's gotten fuller, he's gotten more muscle, all of that evolved the criteria to the point where he went into an open men's bodybuilding show 2 weeks after the Olympia and freaking placed second, almost won the damn thing. You know what I mean? So yes, the divisions are going to evolve over time. Look at men's physique. The guys that Mark Anthony wouldn't even freaking place it at an NPC show today, and he was the first men's physique Mr. Olympia. So yes,
Those
it's going
guys
to
are
evolve.
huge. We're always
Huge,
backstage with them. Those guys are
huge.
huge. Yeah.
They sure are. They sure are. So yeah, this is the nature of the beast. And here's the thing too, when we're talking about judging, if you're given two bodies standing in front of a judge, one of them is just genetically elite but not in shape. The other one is in shape but not as good genetically wise, like not the best shape, all that kind of stuff. The judges are going to reward the one that's in shape. They're not going to reward the person that was just born with it.
Oh.
So if you come in a little bit more conditioned than somebody else and you're a little overboard, they're going to reward you versus the one that didn't come in shape, right? And that's how these divisions keep going up. That's how, because they are going to reward the person that put the work in, all things being equal, right? So yes, everything's going to change. Everything's going to evolve. Now, I don't know if you've done this, but I did kind of go and look through some of the top, like I said, the top 10 or so in the 2015 Olympia. Have you had a chance to look at any of the girls in there?
I did not.
So I wanted to bring up a couple of people to kind of look
Yeah.
at. You can find all these pictures on NBC News Online. Again, go in there and take a look. Of course, they're using Ashley as the standard, right? I think the biggest reason why they're using Ashley as a standard is because she doesn't have shoulder caps and she doesn't have hamstring tie-ins.
Correct.
Okay. That's the main reason. Now, I don't think that she has the best midsection because she does have defined abs. So there's that. I also don't think she had the best like overall look either. Like as far as hair and makeup and posing and stuff, I don't think she had the best. If I was being honest, I would say Janet won on that regard. Janet took second in that particular Olympia. So take a look at Janet. But the issue with Janet is she was too lean. She had defined abs. She had hamstring tie-ins, all of that.
Which is something that they are really pushing away from in Fit Model. They want to see a lot less conditioning. They do not want to see a glute ham tie-in. So, again, it hasn't been on stage. So they have to go back and pick what's best from the last few Olympias or the pros that we have now. I will say that the same top judge that I talked to said that they wish that they didn't use a pro as the photo. They wish that they used an amateur that we saw on stage within this past year, cut the head off and, gave a very realistic vision of this physique. But, hopefully that will change as we get this on stage and they can, switch out the photos on NPC.
Well, I think we can also I think we can make that determination too, that this is probably what the pros are going to look like versus the amateurs, right? Because it's the same thing when we're talking about bikini right now. Amateur bikini looks very, very different than pro bikini.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
which goes back to me, with coaching, it's like, I got to see what this looks like to know, like, I was telling Shawn before this, I think this is going to be really hard for us as coaches the first, 4 to 6 months, because each individual judge is now learning this new division. And then, it's a new division. So we have to see what shows up and, what they're kind of picking. I don't think the bodies, when a division is established, the criteria is very established. Now we all know that bikini's a moving criteria, but pretty much we know what they want. They want cap shoulders, whatever. Right now, we're just kind of guessing. So the bodies that are going to be on stage in a class are all going to look really different. So we have to kind of, see how the judges pick. And then as the criteria gets more and more folded, and then we start to see those 10 girls that are looking more unison in what the criteria is, then we'll have a better idea of what they're really going to be picking.
Yeah, because I've had to have this conversation with clients because I've got a lot of girls that are bikini right now wanting to go to Fit Model. And for example, like I have one client that she was talking about wanting to do Fit Model, and I told her, I said, I'm not saying no. I said, however, you're already one of the hardest girls on stage when you're in bikini. You're conditioning already. I said, and the reason why is because we got to get your waistline to come in. I said, so we can't just automatically make you softer because your waistline's going to blow out and you're not going to fit the criteria for a Fit Model. So plus, I said, you got a lot of upper body. I said, and you got vascularity. They don't want to see any of that in Fit Model, So we have to make a decision. Either way, you still have to grow your lower half. Either way, you still got to grow some glutes, because if you're going to go to bikini, you need more glutes and you need to come in conditioned. If you're going to go to Fit Model, you need more glutes so that we don't have to bring you in as conditioned and we keep your waistline tight, and you're going to stop training your upper body completely. So there's different things that we're going to have to do in order to shape your physique to fit either division. It just is what it is. So, I don't think that there's a right answer for anybody right now. Like I don't see a problem with people trying both divisions if they think that they want to, because again, just because we're talking about being less conditioned does not mean you're going to fit the criteria for Fit Model. It doesn't mean that, because again, things come together like, saggy glutes if you're not conditioned enough, waistline blowing out if you're not conditioned enough. If you do get conditioned enough, then you get veins everywhere, or you got shoulder caps or whatever it might be. So there's certain things that are going to have to be molded correctly. Like with myself, again, I'm not planning on getting on stage for a whole till 2026 anyway. So I have time to reshape my frame. If I was trying to do this, this year, it wouldn't happen.
That's the thing too. Like, how do you like to live your life? How do you like to train?
Right.
Like they just pulled your upper body days.
Yep.
I would be really upset if I couldn't train. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, so is that the division for me then? Just to do the division and maybe get a pro card? Like, I think too, a lot of people are like, oh, less muscle, so this is going to be an easy pro card.
Yep.
No, not necessarily. No. I think it almost puts you into such a small box that you have to really be even more like bikini before this was the box. Like, you can't be too big, you can't be too lean, you can't be this, you gotta bring this. Like, this is even more a smaller box now. So
well, and let's address that too, because of the ease of getting a pro card. Okay, this is the dumbest. I'm sorry. This is the dumbest argument I've heard against Fit Model that I've heard. Period. People are talking about it being a shortcut to bikini. Okay. All right. So first things first. If you're Fit Model, you're still going to have to do a few years off stage in order to fit bikini. You're going to have to build the muscle. That's the first thing. So it's no shortcut to anything. If you get a pro card, you can't compete because you don't fit the criteria. You can't compete in bikini when you pro card and Fit Model because you're not ready for bikini.
You can, but you will be last.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly. Right. So it's not a shortcut. Period. Second thing is, okay, I was around when bikini started. Those classes were fucking huge at the national level. I'm talking like 6 classes with 50 girls deep in every single class.
Oh yeah, my first nationals in 2019, there was like 52 in my class.
Yes. It is not going to be easier. It is going to be harder just by sheer numbers alone. Okay. And this goes back to the it factor, what we were talking about before, being a fit model, right? I went to USA's, I think was it 2017 when Danny Phelps won the overall? I think it was 2017. I was sitting in the audience with Francesca Lauren. We're sitting there and she walked out, Danny did, in her class. It was class C bikini. The second she stepped out from backstage, I was like, that's your overall winner. The second she walked out, before she ever hit a pose, because of her it factor. Just because she had the look. That was it. And sure enough, she won the overall. And that's the difference. You in Fit Model, you are going to have that. in order to stand out.
Yeah.
Bottom
I
line.
agree. No, I agree.
Bottom line.
There's definitely national shows where the girl comes out and I'm like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's your overall, you know?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just, it's a look, you know? And no, I didn't think about that, Shawn, about, you know, the importance of the stage presence it's going to be. That's going to be a huge factor.
Huge.
And to be honest, for a true bodybuilder, that's the hardest part.
It
Posing
is,
for
because they don't know
me
how to walk in heels.
is the hardest part. It's not it's just, it's that hardness and that intensity in the
Yeah.
gym. You can't show that
Yeah.
in your posing routine. It's a softness. It's making it captivating, like your ecstasy, right? Like you're trying to like grab them in and pull them into you, and you don't get it from.
That's
You know what
right.
I mean? Like the girls that are doing that on stage, you're like, oh God, like that was like a train wreck. And I
That's
was
right.
literally just posing with Nikki before this, and we were working on a hair flip for me. And I'm just such an intense person. It's like, just like stop looking like you're like cracking your neck as you're doing this. But again, it's the hard part, and that will be a challenge in that
Yeah.
division. Is that
Absolutely.
yes, yeah,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying?
Yep. And with that too, I want to talk about a couple other people on this top 10 here. Where is she? Tana Eubanks. She was 13th in 2015.
Okay.
I think she's a great one to look at for stage presence. I don't know if you've ever seen her pose on stage or anything like that. She's just very, very captivating. She's over the top with her posing, but she gets away with it because it's just her. It's genuinely her. Yeah. Tiny little waistline. She's one of the first, one of the only people that posed literally dead straight on to the judges, like straight on. The only reason why I don't think she placed higher at this Olympia is she didn't have that much size. Like she didn't have enough glute size, but I think that her conditioning was very good for fit model. Again, tiny little waistline, but not defined abs, just flat abs, right? Beautiful look, beautiful overall presence, beautiful overall vibe to everything that she did. I think the only reason why she didn't place higher, she just needed a little bit more muscle, right? So again, going back to if we were talking about stage presence alone, she would have been in the top two. Hands down, would have been in the top two, right? Who else here? Somebody else I think that was a little bit underrated on the pro stage is Michelle Sylvia. So look her up. Curly hair. She had a really, really good physique for again, fit model. Tiny waistline, just a little bit of ab definition, enough shoulders but not capped, enough glutes but not the hamstring tie-ins, all of that. I think she was like kind of your right down the middle kind of person. Stage presence was good, not great. So I think that was kind of a detriment to her. Again, not bad, but when you're talking about putting her next to somebody like Janet or Tana, she was a little bit underwhelming in that regard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody that I would love to see a little bit. I would love to see. I hate to say this. I'd love to see fit model evolve this way. Is Justine Monroe. Everybody loved Justine's physique, but in 2015 she was too muscular. She was too muscular in general, just in general. But like she has a great physique. She was one of those people that when she stepped on stage, she literally just stood there because her muscularity was too much for the division. So I loved her physique. I thought it was fantastic. But again, it's going to be too much for a fit body, fit model, fit body.
Fit body.
I know, right? But she's another one to look at. And the other thing that actually I'm kind of excited about with this fit model division too is that the posing is not exaggerated. Like most of the girls, when you look at their posing on the Olympia stage, they're just standing there. So they're just showing you what they've built. They're not overarching. They're not shoving and pushing and doing all this kind of crazy manipulation stuff to make their waistline tinier or their glutes pop more. They're literally just standing there. So you're just seeing what they built.
Yep.
That's it. So I do like that aspect of it. Now, something else that we're going to have to take into consideration when we're talking about posing is, it specifically says on NPC News Online that there's no transition poses. So you have to go front to back. That's it. So you got to get there without showing your weaknesses, right? So that's gonna be a challenge, especially for bikini competitors that are used to hitting the glute salute and all that kind of stuff. You can't do that in fit model.
Yeah,
can't do that in fit model. So we got to work with that too. That's going to be a challenge as coaches to be able to coach that kind of posing too. So there's going to be a lot of different things to this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Stallion front pose.
Yep. I love the stallion pose. Again, I go back to my own shape and frame. My legs are so long. When I do the stallion pose, it actually puts my body into better balance. So it helps me to manipulate my frame a little bit, make my legs a little bit shorter, just make me a little bit more X-framed. So I love the stallion pose personally, but I still have to grow glutes in order to make it pop right. I can make my waistline a little bit smaller that way, but I also have to make my glutes pop more. So again, it's going to be a challenge regardless of where you're coming from for this division. You're going to have challenges with it. I do think that your tan, your hair and makeup, and all of that is going to be very, very important in this particular division. The
Especially with
suit,
how simple the suits are.
yes, exactly. The suit is going to be, it's going to be a factor, but it's not going to be a deciding factor.
No, you just have to make sure like the color is
Yeah.
yours. And I know you've been talking about this on your bikini platform, but the bottoms still have to be cut to
Yep.
you, custom to your glutes and
Yep.
your structure. So buying, I know they wrote the words off the rack suit, which I wish they didn't. But it's not like a Target suit that you go
Right.
and you hope that it fits right. I would still encourage you, to find emerald tones with a suit maker
Correct.
that takes your measurements and make sure
Yes.
that the fabric covers 50% of your glutes, but your glute structure.
Yes. And this is something else to address too, is the 50% coverage, because a lot of people are getting their panties in a wad about this, right?
No pun
Um,
intended.
yeah, right. So the girls that are on the stage in the 2015 Bikini Olympia, that was considered 50% coverage.
Yeah, like a
Just so you
Brazilian
know.
cut, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Just so you know. So people are all like, "Oh, that's so much. That's so much fabric." It's actually not. They just don't want to see thongs like we have in bikini now. They want to see full cover. Like they want fabric all the way down the butt crack versus up the butt crack like we have right now,
Like
which
that's
is
the thing is,
fine.
remember, ladies, like wearing a tea back, like listen, I wear a tea back, no judgment, but that's not a normal bathing suit.
That's
Like a
right.
normal bathing
That's
suit is
right.
a normal bathing suit. It's a
That's
Brazilian
right.
cut bottom. That's what they're looking for. They just want to
That's
go
right.
back to like the normal standard. A thong is an
Yes.
extreme,
Yes.
so you have to remember
Yes.
that.
Yep. And again, we get so conditioned to seeing these teeny tiny little cuts that anything bigger than that, we're like, oh, that's too much fabric.
Totally. Totally. And that's
It's
what,
like,
like with anything in bodybuilding, our vision of what's normal is so skewed because
yes,
especially coaches and athletes that go to shows a lot, like that to us is our normal, but to
yes,
anyone else, that's not normal.
right.
So remember that in order to make it completely different from bikini, it needs to come out with a criteria that's completely different from bikini.
Absolutely. I think that particular piece of the criteria will definitely evolve as well. Um, I don't necessarily think that we need to have connectors on the suits. I'm going to be honest. When they started doing the wellness cuts where we have the fabric sides, I actually think those are super flattering. So I'm kind of happy about that, to be honest with you, because I think it's going to allow for us to make more stretch in the suits, where it's going to sit on the frame better. To be fair, so I know for mine, I'm gonna the ones that I design, I'm going to actually make them with sliders and make them adjustable so that you can make them tighter or looser. Which is going to be huge for show day. That makes it so much easier to keep them up on the hips where you want them to sit, all those kinds of things. You know what I mean? So again,
Well,
going
it
back
goes
to
back to
you
the
still want
financial
custom.
aspect too,
Yeah.
like for a suit maker, for you,
Yeah.
like those crystal connectors cost a good amount of money.
That's right.
So if we
They
go
do.
back to the two
That's
biggest
right.
things we heard all season, which is that people can't afford the sport and that the sport is getting too big, well, we're going to make this new division. And not only that, we're going to get you in a suit that costs as least amount as possible.
That's right.
To me, a connector is a connector, right? And that's why, like all my girls, they just send them to the suit maker and they figure it out. But like, it's not going to be a make or break. So if
That's right.
I understand though, because one of the first things that I did when I signed up for my first bikini shows, I wanted to get that bikini, and it's
Yeah.
the exciting part and picking the
Yeah.
stones and all this. But remember, if you're considering this is your entry level into the sport. You don't have to
Yep.
buy the $1,000 bikini for your first
Yep.
show. Let's start with the $100 one. Make sure you like it. And then if you want to go into bikini, you grow for it. And then you get the crystallized bikini. But these suits, again, we still haven't seen them. They're still going to be gorgeous. Like these are not
Yeah.
suits that you could, but you don't want to, like bring them into a hot tub. Like these are going to be your competition suits that you hold near and dear to your heart that have a certain sheen to them, a different color than you see on different people, they're still going to be just as beautiful and special to you without a stone structure on it.
Well, I think people forget, like they get so cost sensitive. Like you go to any designer suit wear, like beach bikini, whatever the hell, that's beach bunny bikinis. Those suits are like $60 to $70 for a top, $60 to $70 for a
You're spending
bottom, you know, that
200,
kind of thing.
250 bucks on a
Yeah,
suit. Any designer
yeah,
suit for a hot tub or pool, you're paying the same amount
that's
these
right.
days for a lot less fabric
That's right. That's
with
right.
no stones on it.
That's right. So it's like, guys, like this is not abnormal. You know, the first bikini that I bought for, because I competed in bikini in 2009. The first bikini that I bought a plain bikini and it was $65. And then I added connectors onto it myself. So I probably spent total probably around $80. And that was in 2009. So again, you know, we're in
Inflation.
2025. Like, come
Yeah,
on, getting a bikini that's going to cost you 150, 160 to $200 is not out of the question, especially when it's going to be custom made to you.
right,
You know,
right.
remember that that's still cheap. You know, that's still cheap.
Totally.
So it's like I just, you know, and again, I think we've already seen them change that criteria once. I think that'll continue to evolve as we see this happen more. But I kind of want them to keep the coverage, you know, where it is, because we're not going to be as conditioned in this division. So we don't need to see the hamstring tie-ins. We don't need to see that upper outer glute like that. You know, we just don't need to see all that stuff. And B, it's an entry level division. So we got to think about like the moms that want to come to the sport. You know, the people that don't wear thongs on a regular basis. I know I wear a thong on a regular basis, but when I first started, before I started competing, I didn't do that.
Me
That
neither.
wasn't me.
Me
You
neither.
know, so you got to remember that when we're bringing new people into this, it's a culture shock. It's a culture
Absolutely.
shock.
And their normal is a Brazilian cut bikini right now. So it's going to make them feel more comfortable when their competition suit feels the same way.
Yep.
The alternate is going to be for the person that's coming from bikini that goes back to fit or now I'm doing it.
I know.
The fit model division. It's going to feel weird. Like it's almost going to feel like this isn't right or this isn't correct. But
Yeah.
that's what's going to make it really stand out from bikini.
And on that note too, like I'm still, for me and for all my clients that are considering doing fit model, I'm still going to be checking in progress photos with thongs. I mean, because I still want to see my full development.
Sure.
You know, I'm still using the same suits that I would use for bikini. Because again, it's about progress and seeing how that's coming along and all that kind of stuff. And then when we get to the point where we're getting on stage, and we'll talk about the stage suits at that point, you know. So I personally am still doing the thongs. So you know, it is what it is. But again, for those people that aren't comfortable with doing that, I mean, this gives them a way to kind of work their way up. I can say, again, from being a suit designer, one of the reasons why almost all of my posing suits are thongs is because it shocks people when they first put their posing suit on. And I tell them, I said, yeah, I'm like, because you're going to get comfortable in this so that when it comes time for your stage suit, it's going to feel big. I said, because if we go the opposite direction, when you put that stage suit on, you're going to feel like you got nothing on, because it's happened. You know, when I first started doing this, when I first started designing suits, girls would put these suits on and be like, oh my God, I can't go on stage with my ass hanging out like this and da 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 da. I'm like, well, you're going to have to, you know? So it's like, so instead, I kind of push them into the deep end to start with the posing suit. So then it doesn't feel so bad when they're putting the actual stage suit on.
I remember like it was only a year ago when I got like my first micro cut. And
Yeah.
so I went from, the typical NPC bottoms to a pro cut, which has a little bit of a larger, and then the micro cut, which is like the true thong. And I put this on, I'm like, am I allowed to wear this? This is really small. Like, is this okay? Yeah,
I
but
know.
when you get on the pro league and you're the only one with fabric halfway up your back and coming down halfway to your glutes, you're like, yes, this is normal in the pro
Yep.
league. What I would
Yep.
never be able to get away with that at the amateur level. They're letting amateurs now get away with it a little bit more and more. But again, this is how things evolve, in the division. You just got to see what they allow to, or they continue to allow as the years go on and show to show.
Yeah. Or what your physique allows too. Like we've talked about this before too. It's
That's
like,
another thing too.
Yeah, one of the girls on Fit Body, we talked about this in the coaching call a few weeks ago, where it was like, well, maybe we need to get her a bigger cut because she's so glute dominant. You know what I mean?
Right.
To cover up some of those glutes, because that's going to help balance your frame out a little bit. So again, it goes back to what your physique is going
Your
to do for
structure.
you too.
Well, and that's the thing
Yeah.
too. Just because you're a pro doesn't mean like, oh, I should go to the micro pro tomorrow. No, do your glutes need the micro pro? Like some people are better with more fabric on their glutes. It
Yep.
shapes them a little bit better. So it again, it just like the sexiest answer in bodybuilding. It depends.
It depends. Yeah, I know. Well, that's the thing too. It's like, again, going back to this particular division is going to evolve quite a bit this first year. I think we'll get a pretty good handle on it going into 2026. And then I think we're going to get a pretty clear look of the criteria once we get the pros on stage, right?
Totally. Yeah, they better have
So,
it all figured out by then, which I think is why they didn't put the pros within the first year,
yeah,
which I think we can all appreciate. Like they don't want to kind of dive in head first. They want to like really get the division on stage, let it grow, give pros the time to come back. You might see a lot of
right,
pros come out of retirement at this point.
right.
You know what
Well,
I
and that's the
mean?
thing too.
So
Like, saying that concept of like this is perfect for me because I didn't plan on getting on stage anyway this year. I think if we had a lot of like bikini pros switching over this year, we would have a very mixed bag of what the fit model division was going to look like this year. So what it's allowing us pros to do it's allowing us to have the time to reshape our frame so that we can come back for the criteria.
totally.
Again, going back to that's why my whole training changed. Like I'm still training my lower body the same as if didn't change that at all, but no more upper body. No more upper body at all, and lots more Pilates and yoga. It's like, you know so, and again, I go back to like one of the things, you're probably going to hear this a lot depending on who you are. One of the things that people messaged me a lot was, well, don't, like, why do you want to get rid of your beautiful shoulders and da 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 da. I'm like, my shoulders are huge. I'm like, I do love training them, don't get me wrong, but they're the first thing people see, and I'm going to be honest with you. I said I kind of want them to come down a little bit. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like they're big. Like
But
when I
that
see
goes
myself
back
on,
to the person
yeah,
understanding the body that they want to live in
that's right.
24/7. So
That's
to
right.
you, you're okay with giving up a little bit of shoulder. To
Mhm.
someone else, they might not be okay with that. And then we
Absolutely.
know, okay, well, this probably isn't the division for you. We need to continue to build your glutes up, but you're okay with that. And then,
Yep.
and that's where at the end of the day, like pro card or not, like I think people really just have to sit down and ask themselves, like, what is going to make me happy in the body that I live in 24/7? How do I
Absolutely.
like to move it? What do I want it to look like? And how is it going to make me feel the most satisfied? So for some people that might be pulling back on training or redefining their physique or things like that, or some, like I just spoke to a girl that, messaged me when this thing came out, and her largest goal was that she wanted to build her legs, and she's already pretty muscular. So I was like, well, if your goal was that you want to see larger legs, we cannot be in this division. It doesn't
Yeah.
work that way, And
Yep.
she's like, "Oh no, I don't want to bring my legs down. I want my legs bigger." Okay, well then we need to continue to build for bikini. So it's how do you want to live, and don't just
Yep.
make your decision on a division based on the ease of a pro card, which we've already talked about isn't going to be a thing.
Yep.
How do you want to train and live? And remember, this is a lifestyle no matter what. So while this may be the smallest muscular category, less conditioning and things like that, you have to love what you're doing 364 days a year. Stage is
Yep.
one day a year.
That's right. That's right.
So
And again, kind of to point on that pro card thing. Why do you want an easy path to a pro card again? Like, what does it do for you? Like, I like the pro card is literally worth nothing. It's worth nothing. You have to pay in order to get your membership into the pro league. So the only thing that a pro card gives you is the satisfaction of knowing you hit your goal. So if you're trying to shortcut that, what are you doing? Why do you want it anyway? Like, why would that even be a thing? Like,
it's the
I don't
it's the
understand that.
people that have that want the status versus the reward for the hard work.
Right. Right.
Like I don't want an Olympia qualification, an invite to the I don't want anything unless I feel like I earned it,
That's
or if
right.
somebody else feels like, I earned it. Like, and I don't want the easiest way to get there.
Yep.
Like everybody knows my story. Like in 2020, I should have been one of the people that received a pro card, but I wasn't ready yet.
Yeah.
So I took 16 months off. And then when I got it, I earned it. And it was so much sweeter than just getting it in 2020 just to say I got it. It made me work
Yep.
harder. It made me a better athlete. And it taught me discipline. It taught me motive. Like it teaches you things. It's what you learn along the journey. If you don't, you just miss out on all of that. And that's the
Yep.
thing is like this sport should make you a better human. It should make you a better business owner. It should elevate your life. Like
Yep.
we so easily just want to go from A to B, you know? And I get it. I've been there too. I was heartbroken in 2020, but hindsight looking back, I would not be the athlete that I am if that didn't happen to me. So we have to also realize like waiting is okay and working
Yeah.
towards it is okay no matter what division you pick. But like if social media closed down tomorrow, would you still show up to the gym every day?
Yeah.
Or is just putting the name IFBB Pro in your Instagram tag the reason why you do this? Because I'll tell you
Right.
right now, that's not a reason. That's
That's
not a
right.
reason to continue this. This is not something that you should be doing. This sport is way too expensive and way too much of a thief of time for that. So
That's
I
right.
think that's where those people get caught up. I'm just being honest. You know, you
Mhm.
have to love the journey to get the
Yep.
pro card because it will mean so much more. Because other than that, it's just like what Shawn said. They hand you a piece of paper, you still have to pay $275 a year for your membership, and it's just to say that you're a pro then at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and going back to my story too, like I went and flip flop between bikini and figure because I was a tweener when I was in the NPC, and going from figure down to bikini didn't make it easier for me. Didn't make it easier for me to get it actually made it harder. I was doing worse than on the national level in bikini. And the judges all told me, like, you have to make a decision. Like, you have to either stay on the local level and do either one, or if you want to move up, you've got to put more size on because you're too big for bikini. So it's like it's one or the other. So I had to make that decision to go off stage and build for figure if I wanted to keep going. And that's what I did. And that's why I won my pro card that way. If you're a bikini tweener, it's not as easy as just getting on stage and fit model. It's not that easy. You're gonna have to make a decision.
Current
You know.
competitors are at the biggest disadvantage for this.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And this is going to be something that you're going to be able to share with all of us in your
Yep.
journey to this as a professional athlete in bikini, you know, needing to make the adjustments.
Yep.
You're the one at a disadvantage now. You know,
That's right.
this is truly for the people that it's a stepping stone, right? They don't really have a lot of muscle. They haven't really focused on, you know, growing a specific body part. Like they've, you know, been loosely training, or maybe they haven't even trained. This is just something that they want to do. Or our lifestyle athletes that are going to want to now step on stage because
Mhm.
it's more attainable to them. They're going to be in the advantage because we can build them
Yep.
into this, you know. So it's exciting. That's the exciting
It's
part as a coach, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like I like to make my brain work. So if it's something like that, that's going to excite me.
yeah.
You know, and I'm excited. I'm excited for, you know, what's to come this year. Ultimately, like I said, we just got to see numbers up. You know, most NPCs and regional shows this year, it was they were lucky if they saw 65 athletes, 75 athletes. That's not okay. You know,
That's right.
usually it's up over 150 to 180, which they used to consider a small show, right?
Right.
So you know, our this is our sport, this is our hobby. You know, we have to make sure that we protect it and that as consumers we give back to it, you know. So that's the biggest thing as I could say is, you know, if we don't want more divisions, we don't, then we have to, you know, really give back to what we have right now.
Right. And I also wanted to mention because this is going to be fun for your brain too, because using my season as an example, when I was in Georgia, I mean, I was really hard and like vascular and all that kind of stuff. And then we filled out going into California and I was softer and rounder and fuller. And that's the direction. Like if we hadn't done that, I don't know if I would be this confident going into fit model because I know my body and I know how vascular I get. I know how like striated I get through my glutes and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, I don't see that being competitive in fit model, you know? So it's like, but again, going back to as coaches now, we have all sorts of things in our arsenal that we can use to fill the body out, fat load or whatever it may be to soften somebody up. And I didn't have the vascularity going into California that I had when I was in Georgia. And I was like, oh, so we can actually do this and look rounder and fuller. You know what I mean? So again, that goes back to what excites me about this particular division because I do think it's going to make us use our brains to
Yeah,
to find the right match for
the
people.
look. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting. Like I said, I'm excited about doing it in a way that women are gonna feel like they can be competitive and be healthy at the same time. Because I feel like the
Oh,
way that this came around, when initially it was on the docket as bikini, it was just a lot of starving yourself to get on stage and cardioing yourself to death to get on stage. And I don't think that we have to do that anymore. I don't think we have to do that anymore. So,
no, and we've been
um,
saying that for the last, couple years. It hasn't had to be that way. But I
yep.
think that growth people also put in the same sentence peds.
Mhm.
And at the amateur level, you do not need peds to be
Nope.
successful at bikini. If your goal is to become an Olympian, then yeah, you're probably going to have to jump on a cycle. It is what it is at this point. This is bodybuilding, right? And
Yep.
hence why we're putting in more natural divisions. Um, but it's I think that's also the caveat too, or that people had in their head was like, well, if I'm gonna want to be in bikini, then I'm gonna have to jump on a cycle
Right.
of steroids, and that's not the case. It's still not the case at
Mhm.
the amateur level. There's a lot you can do to
Right.
maximize all other things.
Yep.
But yes, I mean, our
Mhm.
job as coaches is to make sure that we do this as healthy as possible. And I can't really think of any risk of the fib model division. Like, it's going
No.
to be the healthiest division that we've ever seen within, the women's side of things.
Yeah. And I think, again, going back to, I think for people that are kind of in my position with being a master's athlete, um, the less that we have to swing up and down in weight, and we can't grow as much as we get older, just part of our physiology, things like that. I think it's going to be more healthy for us as well, just in general.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think that's actually going to be a very good thing as people grow, like just get older, so it's going to give us an outlet to actually still compete, but not feel like we have to put our bodies through the ringer. And that's one thing that like, again, that I'm excited about for it, because I can maintain pretty much the whole year, still make progress, all that kind of stuff. And I don't have to feel like I have to go to an extreme either way. And I can still be competitive. And I think that that's going to be a big, huge sigh of relief for a lot of women.
Absolutely. Yep. That's
So
another good point.
yeah. So with that, we've been talking for a long time.
I was gonna say I'm kind of hungry.
I know. I was thinking, I was like, I need to like go like do my yoga. Like,
And I'm literally losing light. It's almost dark here, so you guys are just like slowly seeing the sun go down.
well, that's why I turned off all the lights in here and just have my ring light on for that reason, because same thing. It's getting darker outside right now.
Looks beautiful though outside. I'm gonna go walk the
Yeah.
roof a little bit. Looks awesome.
There you go. But yeah, so I think this is going to be a fun year. It's going to be interesting to see how everything evolves, and of course we'll be there every step of the way too. So it'll be fun to see how everything goes from here. So
Yeah, and
any
we'll
other
continue to
like
recap the shows and see what
yeah
tell you guys what we're seeing, bring photos up as these girls get on stage. But again, like the first 6 months to even a year, like we're not going to really have a true definitive yet. We got to see
yeah
each show how it continues to evolve, and like always on Behind the Bikini, we'll tell you guys what we're seeing and where we're seeing the division going, so to keep you guys abreast and feeling prepared. And that's the best we can do right now
yeah
until it really gets on stage and we start seeing it live.
yeah. And this is the same thing that we went through with wellness just recently. That's the most recent one that we went through. So we saw that
And
division
look how
evolve.
different wellness was when it stepped on stage at the amateur level till now.
Yep.
Like if you
Yep.
go back to the first, this is something Jamie and I were talking about just the other night, is like if you go back to nationals, I think one of the first nationals was 2020 when the
Mhm.
wellness, I mean, Jamie's girl took the overall, I believe, at Universe, and she could hop on. Drew and I saw her in person. It was the first show I ever did with Jamie. We thought she was bikini. We're like, damn, she's definitely going to win the overall. She was wellness,
Yeah.
so it has completely changed since
I can just
then.
look at when Issa and Francielli went against each other at the Arnold versus what they look like now.
Totally.
That's your
Totally.
that's your standard right there from start to
Yep.
finish right there. So I mean the same thing's going to happen with Fit Model as we
Yep.
move along.
Yep.
So
It'll be
we're
exciting to
gonna
see.
get gonna get to see it from the ground up.
Totally.
So with that, we'll wrap it up here today. We'll be back again. We'll try to get one in next week. So we got cuties coming up. We've got New Year's, all that kind of fun stuff. So we'll figure that out with scheduling. And other than that, like, comment, subscribe, all the fun things that we always say, hit the buttons wherever they are. This is episode 70 for Behind the Bikini. We are out. Bye, guys.
Bye.